This is Max Grecke, a Swedish artist known for his ultra-crisp rendering, and he runs the Batra Church of Art. He's the final boss of digital art, a man with a shit ton of art styles, and he's the king of shapes. But oh boy, there is one secret behind his art that makes me wonder, how did he do it? So in this video, I'll be attempting to learn from his grayscale technique to improve my rendering and maybe draw faster while showing you my journey to uncovering how he does it and the insights into his workflow. Well, that was the plan. But first, let's go back a couple years. You see, this was my first grayscale drawing from 2020.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
This was my most recent from a year later.
Mommy?
With a couple of in-betweens. They all suck.
But if you know you suck better, DM me.
What do you mean by that?
But why? First off, the value range. Value range is basically how far down the scale your dark value is and how far up is your lightest or your brightest. The value range of this piece barely goes towards the darks, and the brights are also not bright enough. And that is what makes your grayscale drawings look dull as fuck, like you in elementary school. This piece, however, has a decent value range, but the shadows just aren't dark enough. And now let's take a look at Max's value range. He makes sure to keep the areas in light have a high values and the shadows really dark. It makes the character pop a lot and it makes it hella dramatic. But I wanted to know his process and how he does it. His Instagram just wasn't enough and I needed more. So I bought his art book, but then I found his YouTube channel with a time lapse showing his process. But it was from 5 years ago. Anyways, this is his process. He starts with a rough sketch, fills it in using the selection tool, then fills in the local value. If you don't know what that is, check out my previous video. But this was where he lost me. Bro used a normal layer for shadows. What?
What?
And then he merges all the layers and paints the lights all on the same layer. It looks so easy, but it's so easier said than done. I have a very realistic art style, but since we're trying to emulate the shape demon, I just had to change my sketch a little bit and make it a little bit more stylized. It didn't take much to actually get to that point. Then I filled in my local value, which is very important because it is the foundation on which you build your values. However, it changes based on the object. Take for example, a really dark skin tone or an African American skin tone and a Caucasian skin tone. Their values are very different. So when painting characters, keep in mind that the values can influence how light or dark the skin tone is. But I had no idea what lighting I should use. I tried using 3D Poser, which is a free online tool for posing, but only big brain artists use it for lighting. The issue, however, was it looked like ass. It just looked bad. So I decided to go for a soft light from the front and maybe rim lights from either side. Stay till the end to see if it actually worked out. But low-key just means I have less rendering to do. I guess, yay. The idea behind using a normal layer for your shadows is it gives you way more control over your values and shapes, and it lets you define the forms properly. Like on this radar shape, for example, I'm able to easily change the light and shadow at the same time without switching layers. But not gonna lie, working on one layer is actually very hard. I tried using a top light for the character, but it just didn't work. So I resorted to rim lights, and boy, they worked just fine. Rim lights aren't just lines you paint, but they have to follow this form and change thickness based on the planes they are lighting, because most of the planes or most of the forms we are painting in 2D has like a 3D mapping of or a 3D form of that particular shape. So you always have to like conform your rim lights to that particular shape you're painting. And I'm sure you've noticed Max uses a lot of hard edges and sometimes soft edges, but it's more or less like a stylistic thing. However, it makes your drawing look better, way better than some generic soft brush AI shit or beginners on Instagram. I realized my shadow values weren't just dark enough, and after having war flashbacks of my crusty old looking drawings from 2020, I just had to fix it. I'm a huge fan of tattoos, so I added a couple, like a little bit here, but not gonna lie, the arms just looked a bit too bland, so I had to spice it up a little bit. I tried using the top light, which is something you could try if it's kind of your thing, I guess, or if it works with your art style. Let me know in the comments if you want a video specifically on rim lights. They are also very important when it comes to separating your character from the background, and I threw in a little circle behind the character to make it pop, and voila, If you're enjoying the video so far, you might as well just freaking like the video and subscribe. Here are 3 things to instantly improve your grayscale drawings. 1. Make sure your local value isn't too dark and it accurately represents the object you're trying to draw. 2. Make your shadow values pretty dark, and you can also use ambient occlusion shadows. 3. Use rim lights to make the characters pop. I almost forgot ambient occlusion shadows. These are the shadows right at that crevice, right at that spot where light absolutely doesn't hit. Usually light don't hit that part of your drawing or that part of the character in 3D. So that is where your darkest values are going to be at. So don't forget, your ambient occlusion shadows are the darkest spots of your drawing where no light hits it. So you have to make it really dark, and it helps very well because it contrasts with other parts of the character. This drawing took me about 3 hours roughly, but it makes it really easy to slap on some colors because most of the rendering is already done. Plus, Max has a lot of art styles, and in this video I barely scratched the surface, not to mention his use of colors, which, now that I think of it, is what made me think his art was so freaking unique. But I didn't touch much in this video simply because I don't think I know all about it right now. But hopefully the workflow shown in this video was a good turning point to improve your grayscale drawings. If you have any other artists you want to see next, feel free to comment them down below. Alright, bye.